my name is Joy Goldkind and I work in the Bromoil process. Today I'd like to introduce you to the techniques that we use so you can produce your own Bromoil print. In the darkroom we produce a black and white print that has good details in both the highlights and the shadows. This is how the silver gelatin looks after it has been bleached. At this stage we call this the matrix. After bleaching, we take the silver gelatin print and we start to coat it with ink. This is the first step in the succession of inkings that go into making a Bromoil print. At this stage, we can add any color that we choose, and this becomes the final image, a many-layered silver gelatin that has been layered with ink to produce a final Bromoil print. First step in inking the print is placing the matrix in the water. This will soak for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, while we get our ink prepared. The most important item that we use for our Bromoil prints is a stag foot brush. It's a hog-haired, angled brush. We use this with very stiff black lithographic ink, and the brush is loaded and checked to make sure that the ink is even. The second brush that I use is a squirrel brush, where the hair is very soft, and I use this for finishing work. Today we're going to be using the hog hair brush. This is the first step, and it's black ink, which we will use first. I sometimes use a brayer to clean up the ink. I use a kneaded eraser to pick up the hairs from the brush, and tape, which we are going to demonstrate in a minute, to put the matrix onto a support, which is just a plain plexiglass or glass board. The print is drained and wiped with paper towels or chamois, back and front. Although we soak it in water to raise the highlights, the print must be totally dry of droplets of water, which can destroy the print during inking. The board, as well as the front and the back, have to be dry. Print is then taped to a support to keep the edges clean with tape. We're now loading our brush with ink, and we're going to do what is called the walking step. There are 3 steps to a Bromoil print, and this is the walking step. It's to apply ink evenly to the print. It's actually dragging the brush down and walking it down the paper. This is done in 4 directions so that the ink is evenly coated onto the paper. We're going to take the brush and literally go around in all 4 directions, placing the ink as evenly as possible onto the matrix. We now take the brush and do what is known as the hopping step. This is to even out the amount of ink in the print, to move the ink around so that we don't have blotches of ink in any one particular place. We're not at this point looking to see the details in the print, we're just looking to even out the ink onto the print. We can also take a brayer and we can roll out the ink to even it out and to place the ink more in the highlights than in the shadows. We can also use saran wrap to take out blobs of ink that may have been placed on and not easily removed. The tape is then removed. The edges can be cleaned off with water. I'm going to go back into the water to swell the gelatin again to move the ink around. At this point we can put more black ink and to even it out. Again, wiping it dry, make sure there's no droplets of water on either the front or the back. Leaving a droplet of water because oil and water don't, this is an oil-based ink and oil and water don't mix, so if there's a droplet of water, the print can splatter and white spots will appear all over the image. Now we can go over the print again, moving the ink around. You can use saran wrap or erasers to remove the blobs of ink and to manipulate it so that you can go back and ink with the brush in a smooth and simple fashion. Kneaded erasers can remove small hairs that come from the brush. And we're now ready to let our print rest until the second day when it's nice and dry. Now we're going to be ready to apply the color to our print. So the first thing we're going to do is put it back in the water. And this time I'm going to swell it for a few more minutes. At this point I use a brayer and I roll out my color. It's a little stiff and even. Roll out our color, hopefully to become a little even. Print is then removed from the water again and wiped front and back, as that's the most important step, because at any stage you can ruin your print by not wiping it front and back. And we're going to lay a light coat of color onto the print. We're going to roll it, make sure it's even. We can take our soft brayer and really make sure it's even. If we didn't have enough contrast at this point in the print, we could go back in the water and raise the gelatin even higher. Since the longer the print swells, the higher the gelatin is, and the more contrast we can get out of our print. And now we're going to lay on a layer of brown ink, and we're going to blend the two layers together. We're going to go over the print with a brush, make sure the ink is evened out. And if we find that we don't have enough contrast in the print will go back in the water. More chance to bring the contrast. We can also clean up our edges, which is very easy in the water with a makeup sponge, a small wedge of sponge. Called jumping. It's a third step to bring up the contrast, to add back a little ink. Sometimes use a brayer to pull back a little of the ink off, increasing the contrast. The more we take off, the more contrast, because the print is swollen. And that's it.